Hello students, today we are doing chapter 6 from the Science and Technology textbook for Standard 9, Classification of Plants. This is also the first lesson from Science 2. So come along then, let's read and understand it. This is part 1 of the lesson. There will be another part to it. Do watch both the parts for a complete lesson. Classification of plants. In the previous classes, that is class 7 and class 8, we have already learnt about the classification of living organisms. Let's recall what we have learnt. How have living organisms been classified? Now, you have already studied the kingdoms Monera, Protista, and fungi of the five kingdom classification system proposed by Robert Whittaker in 1959 for the study of living organisms. So let's recall what we have learnt. Now, living organisms have been classified into prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Now, prokaryotic are organisms whose nuclear membrane is not well developed, and we have the Monera, which is put under the prokaryotic organisms. Now, under eukaryotic, they are classified as unicellular and multicellular. Under unicellular, we have the Protista, and under multicellular, it has been further divided with the organisms with the cell wall and organisms without a cell wall. The organisms with the cell wall have been further classified as autotrophs and heterotrophs. Now, what are autotrophs are? All the organisms that can produce their own food. So, we have the plant kingdom under this, and we have the heterotrophs, that is the fungi, the fungus that has been put under this group. Now, we have also organisms without a cell wall. So, we have the Animalia under this heading. Now, what are the hidden secrets of the kingdom Plantae which impart this green freshness to our surrounding? And just how much diversity is there in this kingdom? So all these things we are going to learn in this lesson. We know that the plant kingdom is very, very diverse, and so the classification is also very important. So we learn what are the various different ways of classifying this diverse plant kingdom. Kingdom Plantae. Okay, can you tell which are the special organelles that differentiate plant cells from animal cells? Look at these two pictures carefully. This is the first one is the plant cell and the second one is the animal cell. Though there are many organelles that are common to both, but in the plant cell we see that the plant cell has a cell wall, whereas an animal cell does not have a cell wall. There is chloroplast present in the plant cell. Chloroplast is a green substance that is present in the plant cells to help it to prepare its own food with the help of photosynthesis. And we also see that there is cytoplasm present in the plant cell, which is absent in the animal cell. Let's see what comes under the group plants. Now, the group of autotrophic living organisms. Autotrophic means all living organisms that can produce their own food. Now, the group of autotrophic living organisms having eukaryotic cells. Now, what are eukaryotic cells? Cells which have all the organisms well developed, as well as the nucleus has a well developed membrane. With cell walls is the group of plants. So these cells also have cell walls. So these are the characteristics which are added to plants. Now, plants have become autotrophic as they can perform photosynthesis with the help of chlorophyll. So why plants can produce their own food? Because they have chlorophyll. Now, what is chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is the green substance that is present in the plants which helps it to produce its own food with the help of photosynthesis. Now, living organisms of kingdom Plantae are the main source of food for all living organisms. That is, all living organisms depend on kingdom Plantae for their food source. Now, how is that? We know that herbivorous animals, that is plant eating animals, all live on plants for food, whereas the carnivorous animals eat the herbivorous animals for their food. So indirectly, the carnivorous animals depend on plants. So here we have that all other living organisms, whether carnivorous or herbivorous, depend on plants for their food. So therefore, plants become the main source of food for all living organisms. Now, students, we are going to learn about the various ways of classification of plants and what are the basis for this classification. Now, we already know that there is a vast variety of the plants present on this earth, and we can classify them in various ways. So, we shall learn this in this lesson. Now, first is we can classify the plants on the basis of whether there is the presence of or absence of organs is the first criteria for classification. That is, whether it has organs present in the cell or no. So that is one of the ways we can classify. Then the presence or absence of separate conducting tissues for conducting water and food is the next consideration for classification. Now, what do you mean by conducting tissues? There are two tissues, that is the xylem and the phloem, which help in the transmission of water and the minerals and the food substance to the various parts of the plant. So whether it has the conducting tissues or not, so we can classify them on that basis. Now we can also classify as to, do the plants bear seeds? So we can see whether the plants have seeds or no. Now if they do have, then whether the seeds are enclosed in the fruit or is also or not is also an important criterion for classification. Enclosed means whether the fruit, the seed is inside the fruit or outside it. So this is also a basis for classification of plants. Finally, plants are grouped depending upon the number of cotyledons in the seeds. Cotyledons means we have two, that is monocotyledons or dicotyledons. Monocotyledons means it is a single seed, and dicotyledons means it can be has two parts to it. Now, monocotyledons are your rice, wheat, etc. And dicotyledons are the chana, the groundnuts, which the green peas, which can be have two parts to it. So these are the various ways we can classify plants. Now, this was one of the ways we could classify the plants. Now, at the higher levels of plant classification, different characteristics are considered. Now, for classification, for example, we can also classify depending upon the absence or presence of flowers, fruits, and seeds. So we can classify whether the flowers are present or not, whether it has fruits or not, whether the seeds are present or not. Plants are classified as cryptogams or phanerogams. Now, what are these? We are going to learn in detail in the further part of the lesson. Depending upon whether seeds are enclosed within a fruit, that is, the seed is inside a fruit or not, phanerogams are classified as gymnosperms and angiosperms. Angiosperms are further classified as monocots or dicots depending upon the number of cotyledons in the seeds. That is, whether the seeds are monocots, that is, they are just one single part. For example, the rice and wheat that I told you earlier, as well as dicotyledons, that is, it has two parts. For example, groundnuts and green peas and all that. So, all this we are going to learn in detail further. Let's get acquainted to a scientist. Introduction to scientist. In 1883, Eichler, a botanist, classified the kingdom Plantae into two subkingdoms. As a result, two subkingdoms, that is, cryptogams and phanerogams, were considered for the plant classification. So it was the scientist Etler who gave two more subdivisions. Let's study about cryptogams in detail. For this, there is a small activity that you have to do. Search for a pond with a greenish water. You must have seen water bodies with having a green layer on top. So if you find one, collect some of the green fibers from the water, put the fibers in a petri dish and wash them clean with water. Put one of the fibers in a drop of water on a glass slide and spread it out straight. So you can do this with the help of your science teacher in school in the laboratory. Now, what you have to do is put a cover slip over a slide and observe under a compound microscope. Do you see a spirally arranged green thread-like chloroplast in the cells in that straight fiber? This plant is known as Spirogyra. So if you look at the end of this page, you will find the picture of the Spirogyra given. So this is how you will observe under the microscope. Now, the cryptograms we are going to learn are divided into three. That is the Thallophyta, we have the Bryophyta, and we have the Pterophyta. So let's study each of them in detail. Division 1, Thallophyta. Now how do we identify these plants? Now these plants grow mainly in water. Now this group of plants which do not have specific parts like root, stem, leaves, flowers but are autotrophic. That is, they can produce their own food due to the presence of chlorophyll and is called algae. Now again, algae show great variety. That is, there are different types of algae. They may be unicellular, that is with one cell, or multicellular, that is having many cells, and microscopic or large. Microscopic is so tiny that we have to watch it under the microscope, and large, that is we can see them with our naked eye. Examples of algae are Spirogyra, Ulothrix, Olva, Sargassum, etc. Some of these are found in fresh water while some are found in saline water. So, saline water means salty water, that is seawater. These plants usually have a soft and fiber-like body. Various types of fungi like yeast and molds which do not have chlorophyll are also included in this group. Now yeast is a substance that we add to the flour to bake bread, and molds are the white cotton like thing that grows on bread or chapati that is kept out for a long time, or a moist bread or chapati. So that is what is also included in this group of Thallophyta. Let's learn about division 2, that is Bryophyta. Now you have seen lush green soft carpet on old walls. Okay, that green color thing that grows, spreads out on walls that are wet, or bricks or rocks in the rainy season, isn't it? You have seen that. Sometimes they grow on the floor also where you slip. So scrape it gently. Scrape it means try to remove it gently with a small ruler or any sharp thing, but be careful, and observe it under a magnifying lens and discuss. Now, this group of plants is called the amphibians of the plant kingdom. Now, what are amphibians? Amphibians are living animals that can live both on land as well as water. So here these group of plants are called the amphibians of the plant kingdom because they grow in moist soil but need water for reproduction. Okay. So both soil and water. Now these plants are thalloid. Now what a thalloid? Thalloid means the plant body is not well differentiated into the various parts. They are also multicellular and they are autotrophic because they have green substance, that is the chlorophyll present, so they can produce their own food. Now they reproduce by spore formation. So they produce spores, and because of the spores they can reproduce. Now the structure of the plant body of bryophytes is how it is: flat, ribbon-like long, without true roots, stems, and leaves. Instead, they have stem-like, leaf-like parts and root-like rhizoids. Now, if you look at the picture given over here, these are some of the examples that are there. They do not have roots, but they have rhizoids, which looks like root hairs. Okay, even the leaf, okay, it's not well developed, but it looks like somewhat like leaves. Okay, so these are the examples, and they do not have specific tissues for conducting of food and water. That is, what are the conducting tissues? That is the xylem and the phloem. The examples are moss, that is the Phaneria, Marchantia, Anthoceros, and the Ricea, etc. Okay, you can look at the pictures here, which is clearly given of this example of the bryophytes. Let's continue with the lesson. Now, let's observe and discuss. Now, you have seen ferns among the ornamental plants in the garden. Now, what are ferns? If you look at the picture given alongside, these are the fern plants which are used as decorative plants most of the places. Okay, so take a leaf of the fully grown fern and observe it carefully. So, when you're plucking a leaf, see that you don't pluck these small leaves, but take a fully grown leaf and observe it very carefully from the front side, from the back side. Okay, so now based on this, we will be learning about the third division, that is the Pterophyta. Plants from this group have well developed roots, stems, and leaves and separate tissues for conduction of food and water. Okay, so for plants from this, they have well developed roots, stems, leaves, as well as they have conducting tissues, that is the tissues that transport the water and the various materials to the various parts of the plant, but they do not bear flowers and fruits. Okay, so if you see, you will not find any flowers or fruits in them, so therefore they do not have seeds in them. So how do they reproduce? They reproduce with the help of spores formed along the back or the posterior surface of their leaves. So backside of the leaf you will find these tiny dot like things. Okay, so they have a lot of spores in them, seed like things in them, so that helps them to reproduce. So they don't bear flowers or fruits or seeds, but they have these spores which help them for reproduction. Examples are ferns like Nephrolepis, Marsalia, Tethys, Adiantum, Equisetum, Selaginella, and Lycopodium, etc. Now, these plants reproduce asexually by spore formation. Okay, we just saw that there are spores on it, and sexually by zygote formation. They have a well developed conducting system. Conducting system is the tissues that transport water and food material to the different parts of the plant. Now, use your brain power. Think about this. What is the similarity between the plants of the group Thallophyta, Bryophyta, and Tetrophyta? We just saw that in this group it is divided into three divisions: Thallophyta, Bryophyta, and Tetrophyta. So, what is the similarities between all the three things, irrespective of the differences in their body structure? So we have seen what are the differences. That is how we distinguish them into three. But what are the similarities? So how can you find that out? Can you think about it? Okay, here they have given us a solution. All these plants reproduce by spore formation. They are called cryptogams as their reproductive organs cannot be seen. Cryptos, that is, which means hidden, and gamos means reproductive organs. So, in other words, these are called cryptograms because their reproductive organs are hidden. End of part 1. For a complete lesson, do watch part 2. Link in the description box below. For the answers to the textual exercises and free worksheet, go to www.jkacademypro.com. You'll get the link in the description box below. Thank you. Bye-bye.